Hello Photoshop Senior Edition folks. We're going to work on an image of my oldest daughter, Christy, and this. First thing we want to do, doing Control 0 there, we want to bring this sky into this image because we're going to knock this out and put this new sky in its place. So what we're going to do is turn on the Move tool, click on this, move it up to where it hits that tab, bring it down, hold down the Shift key, let go, drops it in the center. We're going to do a Control minus to make that a little bit smaller. Control T as in Tango to turn on the transform box there. Hold down the Shift key and just bring that out and hit Enter. And then we can click with the Shift key down and drag that vertically wherever we want. That's that. Now, if you look in the Layers palette, Layer 1, let's double click on that and call that Sky. Sky is on top of the background layer, which has my daughter in it, and we can't move the background above the sky. It's locked. So to kill two birds with one stone, we double click on the background and rename it Christy. So we rename it, and we're able to unlock it at the same time. So now the padlock's gone. We renamed it as Christy. We click it, hold on, drag it. It thickened up there at the top a little bit, showing us that it's going to let us drag it up there and drop it. Now, Christy's on top of the sky. We can see her. We can't see the clouds. There they are. And looks like I pushed it over a little bit. Let me go down here and use my left arrow key and punch that over. Now, so we need to knock this other background out of here so we can see this nice set of clouds. So let's do this. Let's make a nice selection around her, and let's go up here and feather this by 2 pixels. Okay, and that'll vary. If you've got a high resolution image, 2 or 3 pixels is fine. If you've got a low resolution image, you might just want to do 1, maybe 0. Totally up to you. If you're having trouble with getting a nice smooth transition, you might want to notice that feather's 0 or something, and you might want to give it a pixel or 2. But anyway, it doesn't have to be a good selection. You notice up here that Steve is not making a great selection. If you get a part of the hair in it, that's going to affect things and it will not be good. So if you do that, all you have to do is hold down the Shift key. It will allow you to add that in. If you've got too much stuff and you want to get rid of some of it, hold down the Alt key, and that'll allow you to just kind of do an inverse circle and get rid of some of that stuff. I love the lasso tool. Lets us fine tune stuff. Can't beat that, right? But you don't have to be, this doesn't have to be a really good selection, because then there's no sense having a refine edge. The whole purpose of this lesson, well, the main purpose, is to make a mask. And it's going to be based off of what the refine edge does for us. So this thing can be used on knocking a vegetable out of something, a hand out of something, whatever. In this case, we're knocking a person out of one photo and putting them in another. But it can be used for lots of other things. But it does such a great job. So refine edge. Now, right here on the view, when we click it, we can view it as marching ants, overlay, which can be very helpful, on black, which also can be very helpful. All of these things, but guess what? We have the very layer that it's going to be on. This. So it really helps when we know what layer it's already going to be on, because we can knock out this junk and have it matching right up with where it's going to go. So let's just use on layers and click anywhere else, and that goes away. Now, if you're having trouble getting this right on, I know what's going to work in this particular image. I'm working on the exact image that you are. The same pixel size, the same physical size and everything. So what works on mine's going to work on yours. But some images are a little more cantankerous, and you have to work with the smart radius and move it over. You just have to experiment. In this case, edge detection pretty much does it all. If your computer has this, older versions are just not going to have this. And I'm sorry, this lesson's not going to help you much. But let's make this, I'm going to cancel this and do a Control-0 and make this bigger. Come right back again. This is all pretty simplistic. You just take this brush, and if it's not about this size, make yours that size. You know, just left bracket key, right bracket key, and then paint. And just go around there, and you don't have to paint perfectly, and let go. Then grab that piece there, let go. If there's anything there, now there's a little bit of stuff. We're gonna fix it. Don't get nervous. Click on decontaminate, and that takes away a bunch of stuff too. If you have to do any tweaking, probably in this case, let's zoom in just a little bit. I keep hitting that Windows key. We can just do a little shift edge. This will bring the selection in towards our nose, let's say. So it's coming in. See how it came way in? I'm going to double click that. Actually, that didn't help. But you go to the right and it goes that away. So bring it back to about center and then start in just a little bit. Now it's taking some of the color away from here. Don't worry about it. I'll show you why. Always make sure it outputs to new layer with layer mask. That's the point of this lesson. Click OK. Now, here's the layer mask. We've worked with layer masks a little bit already, and you're going to see why we're doing that again today. Layer masks allow you to turn on a paintbrush, and because some of this is hidden, paintbrush black is on top, we can change the paint to white by pressing X. X toggles the paint color back and forth, or you can hit this little double arrow down here and you paint over here, brings the other color back in. Got rid of some of that should be gone, and then paint, and up here if there's some gone that shouldn't be, and so forth up here. Now something else that we need to take care of, maybe some hair has gone along the edges, and what we can do, and if you got edge stuff that's still there, and I don't see much there, but you just switch to black and you paint along the edge. I think there is some artifacts right there we don't want. If there's any hair there that you think we'd be better off without, like there, actually I like that part, but just showing you. If you think the hair's been thinned out too much, you can make an exact copy of this layer, Control J, and it fills in. Watch right up here what happens when I turn that eyeball off. See, there's more hair around there now. So she's on her own layer. You know what we didn't do? We've done all that work and we didn't do a file save as a PSD file. So let's do a file save as and give this a new name, and we can say week 5. assignment. And save that to the desktop so we can find it real quick. And click save. So all of our stuff is still there. I'm going to collapse this. Let's see, let's turn this off and this off so we can see. I brought back a little background up here. You see that? I'm going to switch the color. Put it back on that mask. And erase. I'm going to lose a little hair. It's alright. Won't hurt anything. There's a little bit up in there. We won't worry about that right now. I just didn't want that real noticeable stuff to be there. Because I'm going to show you something here real quick. And it involves the Puppet Warp tool. And let's just apply this mask. We want apply mask. So now we got rid of that mask. I'm going to bring her down a little bit, get rid of that little white line that was down there. Okay, now, Puppet Warp. This is kind of an interesting little thing in Photoshop. Now, again, folks with older versions of Photoshop are not going to have this, and I apologize, but this isn't that big of a deal. The last part was, or the first part of this video. But right now, here's the way it defaults. You would have all of these pin thingies on, but it gets very annoying to have all that stuff covering up your image. So you can turn that, make it invisible, kind of like doing the marching ants, doing the H, Control H, Shift H, Control H. Yeah, I'm going to put a dot right down here at the bottom, which basically is putting a pin in to hold place. So I'm going to put another one up here and another one up here. Put one on the shoulders and one, yeah, each shoulder. That's a little high for that shoulder, but that you get the idea. Now, what I'm going to do is I've got these pins placed. I can take her head, probably should have made that one a little higher. Delete pin. I'm right clicked on it. I'm going to put that pin up there. So now I can take and turn her head side to side. More pins you put, the more control you have over individual pixels, basically, over individual data. But it also gets more complicated and so forth. So we can do something like that. So if we commit, we bring our image over here, and the before state was this. So you make an animation like a GIF image, and you have something like that. Now, one of the things that people did in the early days of Puppet Warp was have somebody come in and do what the referees do when somebody scores a touchdown. They put both arms up, and in a motion of that's a score. And then you could, do whatever you wanted to with the arms. You could turn one up and one down, and back and forth and side to side. So we really could have a lot of fun with a Puppet Warp. But there's also a link on our page to see another video on Puppet Warp, so you might want to look at that. We can also do one on the sunglasses, so I thought about doing that. If you meet my daughter, please don't tell her what I did to her picture or something horrible is liable to happen to me down the road. Let's just make a little selection over the sunglasses. And obviously this is really a bad selection, so let's put that on its own layer, and I'll zoom in to work on that. And it's feathered a bit, obviously. I'm going to erase this. I don't usually erase hardly anything, but for the sake of this demo, I'm going to erase. I bet most of you in here have never seen me erase anything. So I usually create a mask. We're going to leave that alone because it just takes too long. So I'm going to turn that back on and make this smaller. And I'm going to go back. Remember, only the sunglasses here on top are selected. So I'm going to go back to Edit, to Puppet Warp, and you'll see those are the only things that are really selected. And I'm going to click here and here. I haven't tried this, so I don't know what exactly is going to... Let's see, can I get something up here? Let's see what I get here. You can really warp people's faces and everything, so you gotta make sure you're not gonna make somebody wanna shoot you for it. I'm just gonna put it down there, and let's commit this. So we're back over at our image. So just basically you're popping it off where they were. Probably if I'd have gone up or out, made them bigger, maybe something like that. Let's go back to Puppet Warp and let's make them all the way around, maybe here too. The more points you have, the more control you have, and it's going to warp it out of control less. Maybe we can drop another one there. Wow, I've really got her warped out of shape. She would not like this. To make a good circle, obviously, would take more points, but we're just going to say that's great. Okay, Control Z, so you can... Yeah, would shoot me for that one. But anyway, you see the potentials of the Puppet Warp, I think. Things that we could do with her arms were outstretched and so forth. But the main thing is what we can do, knocking her out of the background that we had to begin with right here, and put her on a nice background with the nice blue sky. Makes a more pleasant image. Looks like the clouds are actually coming down on the ground here, so we need to change the perspective, right? But anyway, I think you get the idea that we can control the knockout. We can make things a lot more pleasant, and we can obviously, now that we've got the sky on its own layer, we can go in and change the color, the saturation of the sky. We can make it much darker, lighter, and so forth. Probably want us to do the colors a little bit. So anyway, the sky's the limit as always in Photoshop. If you guys have any questions, you know how to get a hold of me. Bye-bye.